Welcome to Movies Are Dead. All right, we are back, episode 3. As always, I am Nick, your co-host with
Boris?
All right,
That's
cool.
me.
That's boring. Yeah. All right, today's episode, we're going to be talking about Lovers Rock, directed by Steve McQueen. Not the old white guy Steve McQueen. He is gone, passed away in 1980. We're talking about Steve McQueen, the auteur, the artist. All right, you may know his films Shame,
Hunger, 12 Years a Slave,
and my personal favorite, Widows.
Widows.
Love me some Widows, man.
Yeah?
Ah, I love that movie.
It's a great bunch of gals
It is.
going off a heist.
But it's not like overplayed and it's
Mhm.
not like shoved in your face. Like I love Ocean's 8, don't get me wrong. Okay, I love Ocean's 8. But if I were to choose between the two, I'm going to choose Widows because Widows was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, a lot more dramatic. I love that opening scene, you know, shootout and everything. And
You think they're all dead?
you think they're all dead. Spoiler alert. Spoiler.
Always spoil things here.
But anyway, like Steve McQueen, though, over the years, particularly the last 10 years, his movies have just, I don't know how, like the progression of them, you could see them, you know. And I think 12 Years a Slave, everybody knows that one won Best Picture, rightfully so. I feel that movie, it's like commercially, it's his best film. For my money, I think his strengths are really shown in Shame and Hunger. But Lovers Rock, though, a part of the Small Axe series, which can be found on Amazon. These episodes, I guess they'd be called episodes.
I mean, I would actually call them separate movies. Just
Yeah.
they're in a series. So
Yeah,
it's thematically linked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of Lovers Rock?
I love it. This is a perfect movie.
It's a perfect
Yet
movie.
again. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hesitated,
I
but
know,
okay.
a little bit. There's a little bit of hesitation. But it is a great movie, yeah.
No, I mean, it's just people, when they think of a movie, they want their plot, they want their arcs, they want all that
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
And you know, sometimes they just want to watch people dance.
Dude, I know. This movie, okay, if you guys have not seen it, go check it out. There's going to be spoilers because we always do spoilers here. We don't care. Watch the movie, okay? But Lovers Rock has moments of pretty much like silence but with music. It's like one long music video.
Yes.
And where people are just dancing and going with the flow of a night at a party. You know? So what'd you think of how he directed it? What'd you think about the story? How do you, what'd you
The
like?
story's bare,
Mm-hmm.
sort of. Well, first off, the camera work is it's pretty great. It's hard to describe. It's mostly handheld, if not all handheld, and the camera never really stops moving. I noticed it's either like small pans or it tilts up or tilts down. It never really stays on one thing for too long, which really adds to the quick pace. The movie is only like 71 minutes long. It feels even shorter. By the time the party ends in the movie, you feel like you didn't want it to end. You feel like you wanted to stay there for a while.
Yeah, you kind of want the night just to keep going and going. And there's like a series of arcs to the story, not like one grandiose arc, but you know, it starts off with the opening shot is them getting the equipment out of the van. Just that initial setup of like, this is the equipment we're going to use. You know, there's no Bluetooth speakers, there's no iPhones. You know, this is set in the year
1980.
1980, yes. So we're at the height of pretty much like reggae, dancehall music in England, you know, and the equipment used to project the sound in the movie, the speakers, the amplifiers, the echo machines, the microphones. Steve McQueen really shows like the gear. So if you're into like audio equipment, this is up your alley. You know, I really enjoyed seeing like them staying true to like the sound, how many speakers they have in the room, the subwoofers, right?
Like if you've ever been to a quinceañera,
Yes, this is a
similar
quinceañera.
audio setup.
Dude, it is.
Where you can
It
feel
is.
the music in your chest.
And you can feel the music in your chest. People are dancing, have a good time. There's an MC, right? Yeah. And in this movie, there is an MC at the helm of the music playing and everything. And they come up on the mic, you know, throughout the film and, you know, throughout the party. And you can tell, like, every single record placed on the player, it means something to these people. It's not like nowadays where there's a playlist and he's just like, oh, let's just go through and select, you know, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Let me go down. We're gonna find. Oh yeah, this song's really popular by Drake right now. Let's just throw this on. These are like handcrafted, handpicked records from a crate, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, most notably, Silly Games, China K,
Yeah,
Kung Fu Fighting.
I love, dude. Silly Games.
Yeah, it's a big part of the movie. It's a big pivotal scene.
Mm-hmm.
It just captures a crowd of people dancing and singing along, which is something that I miss. There's not a lot of songs anymore that you can just sort of like dance and sing to, and you know every word.
I've been wanting you for so long, it's a shame.
I want that thing!
Oh, baby, every time I hear your name.
Single!
Yeah, like you said, these songs feel personal to these people.
They do, yeah.
And even in the first scene, you see a group of women making food in the kitchen,
Yeah,
and they're already
Yeah.
singing Silly Games a cappella.
that's true. Yeah, when they're making the food, it's part of those montage of scenes in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just there's an intrinsic connection between the people and the music
Also the food.
and the food and
The
the
food,
drink.
the
Yeah,
zoom-ins, you know, you can feel it. You're like, oh, I can smell the food through the TV screen. This is awesome. The setup, you know.
right. It's something that goes beyond something that's just social and something that's cultural,
Yeah,
historical.
yeah. I almost felt left out. I don't know if you felt that way. I don't know.
How
We're
so?
we're both Hispanic. We're both Mexican. So there is some version to the story that we identify with, just through different things. You mentioned the quinceañera, but I just kind of felt like as an outsider watching it, I kind of felt a little left out, going like, oh man, this is a world that I have no idea, you know, about the food. I mean, I know very little about reggae music, but I almost felt like Steve McQueen did a great job of doing like you're almost outside of the party and you could see it happening. It's not like a movie. It's like you're there, but you're left out. You're just standing
Yeah.
without putting your 2 cents in. I don't know how to describe it.
It does feel like that in a way, but also feels like you're get the chance to be intimately involved in something that you've never really been a part of.
Right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the camera is almost documentary style.
Handheld. Yeah.
That's the approach mostly, the handheld, focusing on little details, going around. It's a movie where the camera really focuses on the physical, on the way certain people dance, on the
It's
way
true.
certain a man's hand moves down the waist of his girlfriend or something, the way the wall is sweating.
Eyes.
Yeah, eyes,
Yeah.
small gestures. It's very much a movie where the story is told
Yeah.
through body language.
Once again, though, I think that's just something Steve McQueen likes to do.
Mm.
Everything he does, like when he's directing the scene, you could feel it in the actors' bodies. Like, so, like, I mean, like hunger, you know, shame, specifically in Shame, when you see Michael Fassbender, like moving through the city, the way he moves through the city with his body. That great scene where he goes to that brothel and has a threesome with those two women, and the camera movements and the way they touch each other. I don't know. Like, his movies are very physical. you
Yes,
know,
definitely.
like especially in like 12 Years a Slave too, you know. There is some sort of like physicality to it, and you can feel like the bare bones of the actors. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, they're very. It's very sensual.
Sensual.
You get a
good
sense.
word.
You get a sense of the sensual. Yeah, I mean, like
That's-
what I
yeah.
mean by that is just he's very focused on the sights, the sounds, the way it feels. Like as much as film can make you feel something physically, he
Yeah.
gets you as close as possible.
It's the closest thing to
That
VR, I think, virtual
Yeah.
reality. It felt like I was like, if this was a VR experience, this would be in my top 5 picks. Like, I would go here all the
Right.
time, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really too bad that you couldn't see this movie in a movie theater.
I know.
Where the
Yeah.
music can be loud, when you have a big screen to watch it on.
People to view it with.
Yeah, nothing to distract you.
Yeah.
It's too bad that it's on just sort of like went straight to TV. I understand why Steve McQueen did that, so
Yeah.
more people can watch it. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's something that needs to be seen on the
I
big
think it
screen.
should be seen on a big
It could be
screen.
loud.
In a dark room, specifically.
Sort of like concert movies, sort of.
It is like a concert movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, no, it is like a concert movie because you're moving through the music with the characters and you're feeling all their emotions and like I don't know, even the kung fu fighting scene. Like
Mhm.
I just felt like that scene. You go from something serious, and then it's just like into that, and it's just like everybody's having a good time, and the way everybody like it takes you back to that moment. Like I guess every like decade or every now and then has those moments where like a dance move or like a specific song takes hold of people, like mind control, and you could go back to that time, and you could be like, oh, I guess this is when kung fu fighting was like taking off, you know, and like the way people reacted, the excitement on their faces, you know, them getting ready to dance, and it's just refreshing to see the joy on people's faces, you know, especially now during the pandemic, you know.
Pandemic.
Can't even do that. It's weird to see
Some
people in a
people-
crowded
yeah.
room doing that. It's so
I
weird.
guess for us, yeah, some people are still doing it though.
You think so?
Yeah,
oh yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Oh,
TikTok
yeah,
houses are just like
Yeah, the TikTok.
right. Boris told me about TikTok houses the other day, and it's burned in my brain, and I feel a little disturbed now, thinking that this is reality. TikTok houses are real. Jeez.
What's our YouTube house?
YouTube
YouTube
house.
film critic house.
The YouTube film critic house. It would just be a bunch of bitter
Yeah,
film critics
bitter.
going like, oh, you know, I've had better ideas than this. It's just a movie about dancing. You know.
Vitamin D deficient.
Vitamin D
pale,
deficient. Yeah,
just
pale. Yeah, exactly.
Like, anyway.
They hate Whitney Cummings for some reason, and I'm like, she's great. And they're like, we hate her. I'm like, okay. Like, jeez. Sorry for that tangent, everybody.
Oh, we got a Whitney Cummings defender here.
Oh yeah, definitely. But no, so let's get back to Lovers Rock. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Lovers Rock. Okay. I would say my favorite part of this movie, and it's just a small thing, but seeing the low-key racism
Mm-hmm.
between the Jamaicans and like the white Brits, like that. And Steve McQueen does it in very subtle ways. He does it with looks. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, when these guys are unloading the van to get the speaker equipment into the house, he just focuses on a group of young Brits, hooligans, I guess you could call them. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Probably
But
not. They're just random.
They're just random,
neighborhood
yeah,
types.
random neighborhood kids. The way they stare
Mm-hmm.
at like the Jamaicans, it's just like everything. It's just so very like you could feel their hate, their disdain.
Mm-hmm.
And automatically you're just like, oh, these people don't like these people, and like there's some low-key racism going on here.
Yeah, and then later there's a scene where Martha is chasing her friend down
Mhm,
the street after
mhm.
she left the party, and it becomes very overt, the racism.
Oh yeah,
It's a bunch of guys just staying outside their house or something,
yeah,
and they start being very racist to Martha, and
yeah.
she,
Catcalling,
yeah,
Very-
she has
backs
to run away.
Yeah,
She
backs
has
away
to.
smartly. Yeah,
Because the whole time they just look like they look bitter, they look resentful, they look jealous,
bitter, resentful, jealous. Yeah,
hateful, obviously.
Hateful, yeah, definitely.
Like at any time, they're just looking for a fight. They're just looking for some sort of
Reason to destroy.
yeah, and because they know that they would get away with it too. Like if anything happened, they could just
Mhm.
bullshit around and get away with it.
Yeah.
And
It's almost like the party is almost like in this bubble,
mhm.
and like that bubble exists in a zone or city that's sort of like against them in some way. I don't know how to describe it in some sort of low key way. It's sort of like pushing against them, but they're having a good time in the house and they're forgetting the outside world, which
Yeah.
is I mean the point of a party, right?
Well, yeah, it's a safe space for them. It's one of the few places they can gather and have fun and be themselves,
Yeah.
find some sort of peace
Let go.
of a world that's constantly.
Specifically, like Martha's, like her background in religion.
Yeah, definitely.
Familial background, the pressure of God, you know.
Yeah, Martha, the main, what could be called the main character, is
I would say, yeah.
yeah, she seems to be sort of have this guilt about her, going to these parties, and
There is guilt, yeah.
yeah, there's definitely
Like the way
guilt.
she leaves her house,
Yeah,
climbing
yeah.
down, no shoes, and then like halfway down the street, she's like, "I'll put on my shoes now."
Yeah.
You know.
And she sees when she's riding the bus, she sees a man carrying a cross,
That's right.
and that makes her feel very guilty because like,
Yeah.
oh my mother.
It's always there in the back of
Yeah.
her brain. Yeah.
We could tell from what she says, a few of the instances in the movie, that her mother is very much more religious than she is.
Yeah.
And she doesn't feel that much of an attraction to it.
The male cousin, remember? I don't know
Yeah.
if it's her cousin.
It's cousin.
It's her other cousin. I
Yeah.
forgot the character's name. It's a guy who wears a red beanie and he lost his mom, right?
Mhm.
And he's there and he's pretty much takes the party by storm in some way. Once
Yeah.
he enters the house, the
He's very
party
interesting, yeah.
switches. You know, that sort of, I guess, would be like, I don't even know what that would be, what kind of character that would be. It would be the guy who shakes things up. Usually you find those characters in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
within the first 20 minutes. They come in, they shake the party up, and it leads to something else. But Steve McQueen saves it for the back half of the movie.
Yeah, he
You know?
turns it very intense. Like his character, people at the party who are there, they're, I guess you'd call a much more relaxed mood.
Yeah.
And then he sort of shows up and starts dancing. He has this like wild, passionate,
Wild, yeah. He's almost,
exuberant style of dancing.
It's like,
and
he
people
was,
are,
he was dancing punk rock at like a dance hall. It was,
yeah,
it
he
was
was sort of
very
like
strange.
moshing almost.
He was
just
moshing almost.
skanking.
Yeah, he was just like, just freewheeling it.
He just like feeling something and is like,
Yeah. They even give him like a hit of a joint. They're like, hey, dude, you gotta take this because you're starting to scare me, bro.
yeah, but like they don't know him. They don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, they
like,
don't-
He
yeah.
just showed
The
up,
loose cannon.
and they're like, "Is this guy dangerous?"
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of you. That was you.
Yeah?
You reminded
I
me.
don't think so.
That was you. You're
I
like
don't
just
think
ready
that's
to.
me.
I think that'd be you in a TikTok house. You'd just be like, just start
They
dancing.
wouldn't ha- I'm not pretty enough
Oh,
for
stop,
a
stop.
TikTok house.
Stop. We love all the pretty people, especially Boris here. No, yeah, so once he enters the house, it changes and and the music starts to get crazier. And there's
Mhm.
that scene where they're all just letting go and dancing and dancing. I forgot to what song
It's
specifically.
called the Kunta Kinte dub by the Revolutionaries.
Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Yeah. Yeah.
It's a pretty great song.
It is a great song, yeah.
Yeah.
It's at the piano. Doom, doom.
The
doom.
bass.
Oh
bass
yeah.
is great.
Yeah, that piano's so good. It's like put through like an echo and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, the song is just full of great music. There's
Oh, it
not,
is
like,
full of
not
great
one
music.
song that I don't like.
Yeah.
This whole movie. And that's a big part of it, is the way that these characters use music to
Mm-hmm.
be able to release something, express something emotional they keep pent up during the week, something that they're feeling, anger, sadness,
Yeah.
joy. This is finally the opportunity they have to
It's
express
a very
it.
working class film.
Definitely, yeah.
There's something that makes me think about like just like the lower class of like England, finally being able to get away from like the work week, get away from your family, the subtle
Right.
racism that you always have to face, and it's
Not
just
so
like
subtle, and just like all
Yeah.
of the expectations. All the movies in Small Acts, which is what the series is called,
yeah,
are sort of about that.
yeah,
They're sort of a conflict with the self, with the expectation society and your
Yeah.
family and your culture has on you.
yeah.
And
Also like a specific time in England too. It's what is it, from
Definitely.
like 68 to like
yeah, it's late
mid-80s or
60s to
something?
yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So specifically this one, 1980. I mean, I don't know that much about England, but from what I've seen in the movies,
Wasn't it Thatcher?
Thatcher,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
they're Reagan, I believe.
Yeah.
That's when the world was getting a little conservative, So,
Even more, yeah.
right? So it was just like, no, it's cool to see Steve McQueen like do an English movie because I've never seen him do an English movie, even though he's from England. Like
Right.
all of his movies,
Like Hunger was very Irish.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. So like all of his movies have just been like, particularly the last 3 American movies, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just cool to see him go and do a film about like England.
Right. A lot of people think he's a cold filmmaker, which I don't agree with.
No,
Right?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't. Not at all.
Like they see Hunger. or
Hunger is a pretty messed up movie, though.
But I don't think it's cold. Like they see
No,
Hunger or Shame, and
it's
they
not.
see like sort of a detached POV in terms of how the camera is used, of the
Yeah.
colors and cinematography.
It's a
But
colder movie. Yeah, Hunger's a very grays and
yeah,
blues. Yeah.
but I mean like Shame, maybe it's about a character who tries to, I don't know, like not even like fight a part of himself, but sort of seems like he's a constant battle of a part of himself that he doesn't want to fully acknowledge. And
Yeah. I don't
deal
even
with.
think. I don't even think Shame could be made into a movie nowadays, which is a little strange to say.
Really?
It would be a TV show.
maybe.
It'd be a TV show, and it'd probably get canceled, like literally on social
Yeah.
media, because you just can't do movies like that nowadays. Even though I think his movies are very therapeutic, all of the characters in the movie, like when you look at them, like each main character of his movies are going through like an inner destruction and also rebirth at the same time. Like when you look at Viola Davis in Widows, she's like confronting the death of her husband. Spoiler alert. Watch it anyway. Great movie. The death of her husband. But even though it's a crime drama movie, it's still about her reckoning with her husband's death and like taking over the role of what a man is supposed to be in American society. I don't know. So if you guys haven't seen Babylon from 1980 by Franco Russo, I believe, check it out. A lot of similarities between Babylon and Lovers Rock. You know, Babylon is pretty much like a movie about a young Jamaican man named Blue, and it's about his adventures in the dance hall community, but also dealing with the social structure of England's racism toward the Jamaican working class.
And Jamaican on the West Indian population.
Yeah. So check that movie out if you guys haven't seen it. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like Menace to Society, but the English Jamaican dance hall dub version.
It really reminded me of that Fellini movie, I Vita Doni.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
a bunch
right.
of guys.
It's a bunch of
dudes hanging out.
Dude, that movie. Okay, so Federico's. That's like, was that his first or second movie? What is that?
It's
That's
like his
earlier,
third or fourth movie.
That movie is so like ahead of its time. It's not even funny. That movie, it's like, man, I can't even think how to describe it. It's almost like Diner, right, by Barry Levinson. I don't know if you've seen that one. Check out Diner, by the way. Great movie, Mickey Rourke killing it. Okay, but it's almost like Diner, but it's like the Italian version, and they're like talking about problems that like modern men have. They're like, oh, I'm gonna sleep with this woman tonight. You know, I don't know if I'm happy. But stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, it's a subgenre. I don't know what it's called for sure. It must remind me of like Rocco and his brothers.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of guys going through some
problems.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
How do you get through that?
Yeah.
The way society's so determined on destroying it.
And it's almost like Lovers Rock too. In Lovers Rock, it's the same thing, but except it's a female cast. Pretty much like restless young women trying to shed the skin of like a life they don't want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it just seems like society is bent on not letting us be who we want to be.
Yeah.
In terms of something else that's more catering to the capitalist system we have. And it's always been that way now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if you can tell, like, from the dawn of cinema, and people have been making movies about this, about the constant conflict with what we want to be, and who society and our culture, and the people around us let us be.
That is true, yeah. Specifically with Martha, I keep thinking about her character, her struggles and stuff. Well, the guy getting off the bus with the cross.
Yeah.
I like that, like, little, like, it's thrown in there, Steve McQueen's always letting them know, hey man, God's judging, God's on the way. Or the one that we commonly hear is God's on the way to destroy us, So it was just cool to see that, like, spread out through the film,
Yeah, I mean, also it makes sense. It's not like a purely symbolic touch. It makes sense that the guy takes the bus and he takes his cross with him, and then the next day Sunday, and Martha has to go to church.
Oh yeah,
she probably knows
the way
him.
it ends. Yeah,
she probably knows the guy.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I love the way it ends though. Spoiler alert. She goes back into the house with a big smile on her face too.
Yeah.
Thinking like I finally found love. Just that, I really like when like Steve McQueen really. And that's why when you brought up he's a cold filmmaker, and I disagree and I agree with you too. Like, he's not a cold filmmaker. There's so much hope in his like movies, particularly in Lovers Rock. This one though, you could feel the hope of like, oh my God, I'm in love, which is the best feeling on earth in my opinion. Just her laying down, even if it's for 2 seconds in her bed, she's like, I think I found a man I love. And it's just that hope. You gotta have that hope, right?
Right. It's
the
sort of
one
like
life.
the first time you fall in love, you have that hope. You have that. You think it's that thing you see in the movies. Maybe you find out that's not true later. Maybe it is true for some people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a very hopeful note to end that movie on.
Yeah, very hopeful. If you really want a good movie to look at, and if you're studying cinematography, check out this movie.
Yeah.
The party scenes are so well lit. I'm starting to think, like, are movies just being, like the look of the movies, I think we've gone over this before, there's, like, the Netflix machine of the cinematography where it's like, oh, this is just a Netflix put out product. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just looks too clean.
It looks too clean. But then I look at
Emotionless.
some other movies, particularly like this one,
Mhm.
and I go and I start to find a little hope. I'm like, oh man, this is so well lit. But then again, Steve McQueen's movies are always beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's who
Director.
you're making movies with.
Yeah,
It's who your collaborators are.
yeah.
And I don't know if Netflix or like streaming services have like a style guide that they have to adhere to. Like, you
Probably.
can't,
I
you can't go
know,
darker
yeah.
than
You-
this
you
type
can't.
stuff or something.
Well, according
like
to
that.
the algorithm, you know,
Yeah,
viewers like this.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised that they would do that, and they would just like hand the filmmakers
Yeah.
and be like, "You can't go
Just-
this
just
dark.
make sure it's
You
down
can't have a
this,
shot
that
longer
stuff.
than 15 seconds.
Oh,
You gotta make
no.
sure you cut this scene in this amount of time."
Speaking of beautiful scenes, I really like that scene when Martha is meeting her cousin at the
Mhm.
train station.
Yeah.
And then they're on that spinny thing. And then, like, all of a sudden, she's like, oh, are my heels scuffed? I
Mhm.
hope they're not scuffed. These are my church shoes. And at first, you think, oh, man, she's working class. She wants to keep her shoes clean because maybe this is her only pair of nice shoes. But then you realize later on, you're like, oh, it's just she's trying to hide it from her mom and dad.
Mhm.
So that way they don't go like, where'd you scuff your shoes? That way they're not always onto her.
Right.
It's the hiding the masks we have to wear in society, keep up the looks, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is that their clothes is the way they dress is very important to them. It's sort of a way, yeah, I mean, like the standard things, you use your clothes to show a part of your personality
Yeah.
and who you are. And when you go to these blues parties, you want to show off a little bit. You
Oh
wanna
man, the
look good.
costumes, man.
Yeah.
I love it. That's why I was asking you. There's no Adidas tracksuits,
Right.
unfortunately. Even though I wanted there to be, because in Babylon, if you guys watch that one, everybody's rocking a clean Adidas tracksuit. All right. And but just the costumes, though, the hats, the Rastafarian hats, the little fedoras,
Mhm.
you know, the women's dresses, you know, I really felt like it just brought you back into that time. Even though I don't think, like, this is a time before me, obviously, and this is in
Obviously.
England. I'm like looking around in England, and I'm like, I've never been to England. I should go to England because of this movie, you know?
Yeah.
It does a really good job of, like, taking you back somewhere, specifically with the costumes and, like, how, like, working class people, you know, they still have the will and the money to, like, be like, I'm gonna put myself together and I'm gonna look good for this one night of hope, you know?
Exactly. Started out off as a video artist.
He was a
making-
video
making
artist.
videos
Art,
in the
yeah.
90s. And they would usually just play in museums.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
that type of director.
Yeah, and then you can sort of tell when he moves to Hunger, it's very much I hate the term art house movie.
Yeah, I
But
guess so, yeah.
It's a movie that moves at a slower pace than people are used to. You could call it like people would usually refer to it as like a festival movie. They're kind of movies that are about dark subjects. They're a bit slower paced. They're darker in their subject matter, and mostly what I mean is that they wouldn't be great for public consumption. And
Yeah,
he's slowly been
that's
moving
true.
away from that sort of approach
Yeah.
to something that's slightly more commercial. Not that that's
Yeah.
a bad thing, not
Yeah.
for him, especially with Widows, which was like a very not traditional, but a very genre.
It was, crime drama.
Yeah, crime drama, heist drama.
I mean,
but
Colin
it's-
Farrell's in it, you know?
Yeah.
You got the Farrell in it, man.
Not only that, Robert Duvall.
Yeah,
got the
he's
overall
in there,
Duvall
that's
in
right.
it. But with Widows, he moved on to a place where he can sort of take his style and approach to stories and
Stories, yeah.
sort of take on a genre.
There
in a
has,
way
yeah,
that's very-
there has been a growth in his movies.
Yeah.
You know, you go from like Hunger, Shame, 12 Years a Slave, Widows. I mean, the last two, like 12 Years a Slave and Widows, it's very genre, you know, and it is more geared toward like public consumption. You know, I could see them taking off, you know, with a bigger
Mhm.
audience. But I mean, Shame and Hunger, though, I mean, those are real. I think it was a really good starting point for him. You know, I think it was
Yeah.
a real like good kickoff. You know.
I mean, a lot of people, I get the sense, a lot of people sort of don't like them because of those first two movies.
Those are just such good movies, though, man.
I really like them too, but people feel like they're sort of, pretentious, distance, closed
Yeah.
off.
I disagree.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially Shame. When you watch Shame now, I haven't seen it since its release, but like
mhm.
when I think of Shame, I'm like, man, this movie is like. Not only would it not get made now, but it also feels like you could only make that movie in that space and time, considering now what we know about like sex addiction, what we know about like our view on internet pornography, and like what the downsides of it can do, and like how detached humanity is now from each other, not only because of the pandemic, but also because of social media. Even before the pandemic, like social media was like just eroding our fabric of humanity. And I think Shame really does a good job of like showing a character that's disconnected, and he's trying to find like his happiness in like his sex addiction, And I just feel like our society now is pretty much like Michael Fassbender in Shame.
Both social media.
Both social
Is that
media,
boring?
bad, just like garbage thinking, we're obsessed with all these things that should not matter, and we're kind of just like going with the flow of emotions just to get our daily fix of like whatever euphoria we're looking for.
I think I was watching a movie set in the Middle Ages a few days ago, and I was just thinking how hard life was for them. No
Yeah,
water.
Lord Jesus.
You were constantly dehydrated, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were poor, obviously, not if you were like king or queen or something. But I was thinking in contrast of how we live now, where things are much easier, for us at least. We have water, we have food, we have shelter.
Yeah.
At the same time, life is still not easy.
It's
Mentally.
very weird. It's like
It's
go ahead.
It's moved into a place where what we need isn't physical anymore. Like we're not starving.
Yeah.
We don't need shelter.
The basics are covered.
But there's something mentally that is very damaged and broken.
I agree.
Somehow, I mean, like I'm just
Yeah.
bullshitting, but
No, I
it just
know what you're saying.
seems like most of our unhappiness or existential despair comes from something that is in our heads, is in the way that society has structured itself to make us feel like just being us, just existing,
Mhm.
is not enough. We constantly have to fight for everything we have.
That is true. It's kind of like in Lover's Rock, where people are just like sort of going with the daily emotions, and it's just this one night that they want to break away from them, and hopefully they can find that happiness.
Yeah, we still do that now.
We still do that.
We look
now.
for those small.
I guess it's like modern times problems.
Yeah.
somewhere.
There's a very specific alienation that we're all feeling.
Yeah.
I think.
Alienation, that's a great word. I
Yeah.
think that would be a great word to sum up like Steve McQueen's like work, in my opinion. Like his
Sort of.
characters are alienated. I mean, obviously in 12 Years a Slave, I mean, the main character's like alienated from his family, and he's like taken away to
His freedom.
That's such a horrific movie, man.
Yeah.
It gives me chills thinking about it, but oof.
Yeah.
Great movie though, great movie. Watch
It's a
it.
great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were still dealing with racism all over the world now.
Yeah.
It's been almost 200 years, but I mean, it's been a very long time since
Yeah.
that happened, and there's still these people who have Confederate flags and are proud of waving them.
Yeah.
It's beyond me.
Man, yeah. Well, anyway, Lover's Rock, to sum it up, would you watch it? Yes.
I've
or no?
only seen it 3 times.
Watched it 3 times. You know what that means?
It's just a great
You've
movie to
you
throw
haven't
on.
seen it 3 times like Boris, okay?
I
3
just love
times
it.
too less. No, yeah, I've seen
That's
it.
like 4 episodes of your original Netflix show.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm
Your
kidding.
movies are dead.
Whatever.
No, yeah, no. Boris just summed it up perfectly. Watch it 3 times because that's the equivalent of 3 episodes.
There's a lot of
Netflix.
small details that you miss the first time you watch it. You pick up, and they're not like big, like Easter eggs, like you would see in like
Easter eggs, bro.
some weird TV show, but they're just small character details
Yeah.
that fill out the world they live in and
I
how
think
they are.
just like life now is just full of Easter eggs. Like
Yeah.
we've taken that whole gamer mentality, Easter egg, and like, what's your Easter egg, bro?
Yeah, it's like always trying to like solve a mystery or something. It's just like just take things for what they are
Yeah.
most times.
No, yeah, I would say watch it, guys. Watch all of them, small acts. You're not going to regret it. I mean, it's awesome to see Steve McQueen putting out work like this. Very refreshing. I would say watch it enjoy it. Watch it multiple times. If you're into cinematography, editing, sound design, check it out. And also the soundtrack, amazing. I would recommend it. Are there any other movies like this you would recommend?
Like I said, E.B. Filoni,
Yeah.
Fellini's E.B. Filoni, Rocco and his brothers,
Yeah. Babylon.
Babylon.
Yeah.
What else can we think of? Dazed and Confused, sort of.
Dazed and Confused. I forgot about that one. Oh man,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
So like that's another one, like a hangout movie.
A hangout movie. It's not a movie. It's usually hang out, man. Relax. All right. All right. All right.
Yeah, sort of like that. Good impression.
No, yeah. If you have any suggestions, guys, hit us up. Let us know any cool movies you see that are like this one or want us to review. Hit us up at themoviesaredead at Gmail.
At gmail.com or Instagram or
On
Twitter.
the Insta. That's right. No TikTok house for us, unfortunately, guys. We're just here in a lonely place with a fireplace that's not on. All right. Well,
Alright,
anyway,
guys.
thank you for joining us for another episode of Movies Are
Dead. They're dead.